What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, me and Sony are gonna have a talk. What are you doing, Sony? What are you doing? Why do you keep doing this? You better not do this. These rumors better not be true. Why are you doing this? Please stop doing this. Please stop doing this. Guys, today I want to talk about something that came out a few months ago. Currently, as of right now, it is a bit of a rumor, but I want to talk about basically Sony's decision-making today towards pretty much the whole remake, remaster thing towards games that don't really necessarily need a remake, remaster. We, of course, went through this whole debacle last year with, obviously, The Last of Us. It ended up getting a remakey, remastery thing and renamed to Last of Us Part 1 to kind of tie in with the whole naming of Part 2. Basically, the issue here was people couldn't really understand why The Last of Us needed a remake. It was a game that released back in 2013, and as of this year, it will mark about 10 years since that very first game came out. However, when looking at the game, it really hasn't aged bad. There was also a PlayStation 4 remaster that ended up coming out on the launch of the PlayStation 4. So why exactly did we receive this? It caused a lot of controversy, but still sold a lot of copies. And I know it's absolutely f***ing ironic that I'm sitting here talking about this very topic whilst I am literally physically holding a copy of The Problem in my hand. I am part of the problem. Why did I buy this? I'm a sucker, alright? I'm sucking on the teat of Sony PlayStation. I fucking love them, but I sometimes also hate them. Damn it! Essentially, there's been some rumors recently circulating, I think since about October of last year, that apparently Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be receiving a remake, remaster in similar fashion to The Last of Us Part 1. Now, this is very interesting and makes even more kind of less sense, I guess, than The Last of Us. If you kind of look at The Last of Us is one of PlayStation's most successful franchises of all time. And also, considering the fact that it's only just recently, over the past couple days, that the TV series from HBO has launched, it kind of makes sense to bring back The Last of Us shortly before the release of the HBO series to kind of build hype. I guess it's also a more modern way to experience the game. Even still so, you can put the PlayStation 4 version into your PlayStation 5. Still, I feel like there's areas of Part 1 that kind of make sense. Looking at Horizon Zero Dawn, my dude, that game came out in 2017! 2017! You've already released the PlayStation 5 upgrade! What are you doing? Now, there have been a few rumors sort of floating around over the past few months, pointing and suggesting that this is a very real thing, but that kind of more so pointed in the direction of remaster, even though that kind of didn't really make sense, considering that Horizon Zero Dawn already has a PlayStation 5 upgrade, which boosts the frame rate to a solid 60 frames per second, all that yada 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 to be expected PS5 upgrade nonsense. But recently, Colin Moriarty, who is a very well-known insider when it comes to PlayStation-related stuff, has come out of the woodworks and I guess has sort of reaffirmed that this could potentially be a very real thing and leans more towards the idea of The Last of Us Part 1 type thing. So basically, same game, just updated textures, better performance, better resolutions, all of that kind of thing. And obviously, if you look at Horizon Zero Dawn versus Horizon Forbidden West, Guerrilla Games between that space of time have had time to refine and improve the textures of characters like Aloy, the world around Aloy. And so, I guess from PlayStation's state of mind, they kind of think to themselves, we could apply those upgrades, those improvements to that game that came out 5 years ago, and get more money. Because you know this shit will come out at 70 US, but it will be the exact same game, just improved visuals, with some quality of life and new accessibility options. Damn it! Now, Colin mentioned this during one of his Sacred Symbols podcasts, and has basically said that there is a chance that this is a very real thing, though not currently in development at Guerrilla Games. Another studio will be taking this on board. As we know, as of right now, Guerrilla Games are working on, Horizon Call of the Mountain. They have also been busy with the whole Horizon Forbidden West DLC thing, Burning Shores. And as well as that, it kind of seems like there will at some stage also be a Horizon 3, just with the way that Forbidden West wraps up. So it's very likely that they're in the very beginning stages of that project. If I were to take a guess as to who might be working on this, it will be one of, obviously, PlayStation's sort of minor studios, potentially maybe even Bluepoint, but who knows. There's a lot of minor studios at the moment at PlayStation that currently aren't really involved with too many projects. There are certainly options there. He goes on to mention that things like improved lighting, whether it be like the ambient occlusion and such, overhauled textures and better animations with new character models to match those found in the sequel, Horizon Forbidden West. So it sounds very a la Last of Us Part 1. The thing that is absolutely so infuriating about this is, why don't you put your money into something like this? This looks pretty good. I like the look of this. You know, maybe kickstart that Jak 4 idea again. Maybe remake Jak again. Maybe come up with a new Jak game or something. Even if it's not Naughty Dog doing it, because I know they're busy with like The Last of Us and like The Last of Us multiplayer thing and a new IP, so I've heard, which hopefully it's Jak and Dax. It's probably not Jak and Dax, damn it. The other option you could take here, Sony, rather than making the Horizon Zero Dawn remake is, ooh, damn, that looks good. Whew, now that's a video game. It even tastes good. It doesn't, it tastes like dusty plastic, but still, damn, that looks good. There were some crazy Sly rumors that were going around since 2021. Unfortunately, throughout last year, those rumors ended up getting debunked. There were a bunch of dates given, as well as an overall year thing to say, hey, sometime in 2022, there is going to be an unveiling of a Sly 5, a direct continuation of Where Thieves in Time left. The way that game ended too, I absolutely need to know what happens next. Sly's just in Egypt, and then that's it. Do not leave that fucking door open, Sony. I swear to God, you're blue-balling me. Another option here, instead of funding the Horizon Zero Dawn remake, is, ooh, now that's spicy. Now look, I wouldn't expect any new Infamous games to come out, though I would say that in this current day and age, an Infamous game would work really well, would sell really well, but even just to make it so that you can actually play the first two games, not via PlayStation Now, but just simply remastered, would be an absolute godsend. And the same also goes for like Sly as well. There is absolutely no modern way of playing the Sly games. I don't even think via PlayStation Now you can. You might be able to, I'm not too sure, but at least in my country, PlayStation Now is not accessible. Also, who the f wants to stream their shit? The last thing you could put your funding into rather than a Horizon Zero Dawn remake, Sony, and considering that you don't really have the whole first-person shooter thing going on right now, damn, that takes me back. That looks pretty good, right? That looks pretty good. I liked this one. Yeah, I liked this one. This is a good one. This is a really good one. Nice. Resistance. How absolutely insanely cool would it be if Resistance came back? Now, the thing is, Horizon sells, and Sony knows that. Sony isn't just going to remake any old game, hence the reason why we're seeing the potential of a Horizon Zero Dawn remake over the games that I just mentioned coming back in some shape or form. For me personally though, it just simply doesn't really make sense. You have the PlayStation 5 upgrade for the game already there. The game came out in 2017. It's not even like a situation of The Last of Us where that game came out back in 2013. Kinda just seems like if there is an IP there that sells incredibly well, even if it's only been a matter of a few years, Sony will look at that and be like, hey, we can apply a new snake skin to this. Why not re-release it and drop it for 110 New Zealand dollars? That's how much I have to pay. It's ridiculous. At the end of the day, they are a major corporation, huge f***ing business, massive company, and money is everything, right? It's just unfortunate because it's decisions like this that really do scream, is it for the players? Is it really for the players? Is this really what the players want? Obviously, if any of the games that I just mentioned were to be remade, there is no way in hell that the sales of which would be as high as something like Horizon Zero Dawn, or of course, The Last of Us. So, you do also have to look at it from a business perspective.
But Sony, I swear to God, do not leave me hanging on this fucking cliff. These need to come back, especially this one. Especially this one. Stop this nonsense of the remake, remastered fedonkelness. Bring back our boy!
What's crazy is, Sony could literally have their very own Grand Theft Auto type game set in like the fantasy world and isn't as like violent and stuff as Grand Theft Auto if they wanted to, if they had just brought back Jack. Can you imagine like a modern day version of Jack? And I'm talking not so much Jack 1, even though that's my favorite one, but in the same vein as Jack 2, Jack 3. I feel like it's just a straight up missed opportunity. Like, what are you doing, Sony? What are you doing? If this does turn out to be true, it is certainly worrying. The fact that we look at when a game releases to that of a few years down the track, there is going to be a remake version unsold for the exact same price, if not maybe higher, if price hikes end up happening yet again. Whilst that funding that went into the remake could have gone into an entirely new project, not just looking at old IPs that Sony have in their vault, but could have gone into something entirely brand new. I think we all knew it though when we saw The Last of Us Part 1 and exactly what that game is. We pretty much thought to ourselves, yeah, this is definitely not going to be a one and done thing. Sony will certainly look at their catalog of games that could potentially receive the exact same treatment, and even if it means that the game has only been out for a few years at that point, it could still potentially, in their eyes, warrant a complete remake with nothing really added to it other than technical advancements, and put it on the shelves again for full price. I think also too, for me being one of the veteran gamers of PlayStation, when I'm screaming and foaming over the fact of bringing back these old IPs, rebooting them, remaking them, or just giving them that accessibility they so desperately deserve, it infuriates me because even when looking at the simple sense of, you know, their PlayStation Classics lineup, which is absolutely lackluster and at this point is completely laughable, I was kind of thinking, alright, I'll give them a bit of time and surely over time, more stuff will get added, and especially stuff that makes sense. Still to this day, it is just laughable what the Classics lineup is. Especially when I look towards like something like Game Pass and to see these sort of OG Xbox games that Xbox do offer, it really isn't anything in comparison when looking towards PlayStation's lineup. So yeah, when looking at the funding that will go into the Horizon Zero Dawn remake, if true, could have easily have gone into something like the PlayStation Plus funding to ensure stuff like more classics can actually come to the service. However guys, that is my rant for today. It's actually been a hot minute since we last did a rant, but I felt like I needed to get this off my chest. This is basically just a video of a fully grown man screaming over his toy and what he wants for his toy. So take that as you will. Also, another thing you guys need to do is put some damn funding into making this accessible by some means as well. Like, Ratchet & Clank is still a very alive IP, and I appreciate it so much that still to this day, Ratchet & Clank is alive and is getting new games, but please, for the love of God, make the older titles accessible via the PlayStation Store. I will no shit drop $20, only $20, even if it's more than $20, I'll probably still buy it because I'm constantly sucking on the nipple of Sony. Part of the problem, again, I'm sorry, guilty. But it is absolutely wild that the older Ratchet & Clank games still to this day are only available through PlayStation Now. However guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions towards this in the comment section down below. I would love to know. Keeping in mind, at this stage, this is still just a rumor. We have no idea if it is actually correct. However, this has been circulating for some time, and especially if Colin Moriarty is onto it, has apparently some information about it, it kind of is leaning towards the realm of real, and especially seeing what they did with the very first Last of Us, it totally wouldn't surprise me if Horizon Zero Dawn does get the remake treatment. It is, like The Last of Us, one of their biggest franchises of all time. It makes money. However guys, I'm Cynical, hopefully you're having a damn good one, and I'll catch you guys real soon. Peace.